On this episode of the Clip Service podcast. Rolla and I are going to talk about the Clippers who keep kind of cruising and winning games and continue to build on what was the worst start to a season that we've seen in a long time. The Clippers are currently the hottest team in the league, and that has continued since we last talked. So we're going to break that down, talk about the few games coming up, some stiffer competition, which will be a good test for to see where the Clippers are at, and then a lot of other things to talk about. We're Roland and I are going to talk a bit about the Lawrence Frank contract extension, which has been a very polarizing topic. We'll have a lot to say about that. About the impending trade deadline that's coming up on the 5th. We're talking to you guys right now on the 28th of January. Trade deadline's coming up on the 5th of February. So it's right around the corner, guys. A lot to talk about in this episode. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What is up, Clipper Nation? And welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. Please make sure to find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. And you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla. This is my co-host, Nick. Let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it, guys. Episode 73 of the Clip Service Pod. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. A positive, episode 73.
That's crazy.
Lucky number, perhaps. But basically, there's not really anything new in terms of the Clippers changing the way that they've been playing as of late. And that's a good thing because the Clippers have been playing really, really well. They've been winning they've been handling business against the lower tier teams. They've been rising to the occasion against the, teams above 500, the contenders and whatnot. And it's continuing to be quite a surprise. And the vibes, I don't know. Like, before I say this, because I know Rolla, feels the way that he does about the team, and to an extent I feel the same way. But even the vibes have been great. Like, for example, and we'll talk about it when we recap this game too. But there was a game against the Brooklyn Nets that the Clippers played the other day, and there is a Twitter user, Robert Flom, Clipper fan, but he tweeted out when the Clippers were at their lowest, when everybody was feeling the same way that he's feeling. He tweeted out, if the Clippers go 15 and I think it was in response to somebody saying something about the Clippers going 15-3. Mm-hmm. But he said something along the lines of, if the Clippers go 15-3 at any point this season, I'll print this tweet out and I'll eat it. And so lo and behold, from that point, the Clippers start chalking up wins, and it kind of became a thing, and the tweet started to gain traction. And the game in which the tweet would be put to the test was against the Brooklyn Nets. At that point, the Clippers were 14-3 over that course of 18 or 17 games up to that point. And so, it had blown up so much to where the Clippers admin that's running all their social media was tweeting about it, and the game was actually being called the Paperbowl. Brian Seaman was talking about it on the broadcast. Kobe Sanders talked about it post game. It was an actual thing, and much like the Batum Battalion thing that we saw in the past. It became kind of like this storyline that was spawned from social media for the Clippers, and it was a really cool moment. Clippers obviously won that game. I believe Flom ate the tweet on the Clips and Dip podcast. Yeah. So it was just it's indicative of the vibes right now, with this Clipper team, and there's a sense of unity again around the team, and there's a identity once again. So I don't know, Rolla, did you want to touch on that at all before I hop into recaps, or like, do you agree that the vibes have been pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, I think the vibes have been pretty good. I mean, winning. They say winning cures all. So kind of winning, kind of brought back the happiness, the joy of the game to a lot of the players, a lot of the fans. Yeah, I did see that he ate the tweet, the paper, which was pretty funny. It's just pretty crazy, honestly, because I don't think anyone was expecting the Clippers to go 15-3.
Well, that's
Back
why
then,
he
we were all
tweeted
pretty
it, right?
down
Like,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, I feel like when you have a team like that looks like this on paper, I guess when you look at like James Harden and you look at like players who've been in the league for so long, I'm sure they view this as like a little bit differently. I know Paul George has touched on it on his podcasts previously, but they definitely try not to get like too high or too low, because they know like with an 82 game season, it's like it's a game of averages. Like if you're a team
Sure.
that is supposed to be good, like over that long of a period of playing, like you will be good. So I think that like everyone was just like pretty down bad when we were on our losing streak, and kind of confused at why we were losing so much with a team that good. And I think that now we're seeing a team that actually is good, that's actually representative of what is on paper. So like I said, I think winning cures all. Everyone's happy. Everyone's kind of being joyous, so to speak.
And we'll talk about this more when we get to the trade deadline talk.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also important to remember that it was like a month ago, no more than a month ago, that we were feeling like this team needed to be torn apart and
Mm-hmm.
dismantled. And we're a month and a half or whatever removed from the Chris Paul fiasco, and you know when Clipper fans, myself included, were really, really looking at Lawrence Frank like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about that too when we talk about the Lawrence Frank extension. But until we get to that point, let's just jump right into recaps. The stretch that we have to catch up on is the game against the Wizards, game against Chicago, against the Lakers, the Brooklyn game, otherwise known as the Paperbowl, and then the game against the Utah Jazz. So the first of that, and Roland and I are going to structure this a little bit different. We're going to try something out moving forward. So for every game that we recap, we're going to talk about one thing that we like and one thing that we didn't like. Some nights there's going to be multiple things that we like or multiple things that we don't like. But we're going to try and abbreviate that and see if we can think of one thing we like, one thing we don't. So the first game is the game against the Washington Wizards, who, don't let their record fool you. Like they have a competent group of young guys. Obviously, they're in rebuild mode and they're not looking to win a championship, anytime soon. I would think, but they've beaten some really good teams this season, and they could give any team trouble at any given night. But the Clippers were able to handle business against the Wizards in the form of a 110-106 victory. I'm just gonna go ahead and start, Rolla. So
Yes,
one
sir.
thing that I like. One thing that I liked about this, or there were a couple of things, but the most important thing that I liked in this game was James Harden's box score. Just looking at his box score, 36 points, 9 for 17 from the field. He was 0 for 5 from 3, but got to the line 20 shot 20 free throws, which again, we've talked about it in the past. Like, James Harden getting to the free throw line with regularity has been such a nice and surprising return to form this season, because obviously, as many fans know, James Harden used to really make his money from the free throw line, every night. And so going and shooting 20 free throws when you score 36 points is great. And, you are able to diversify your offense. And so that was the biggest thing that I liked. Another smaller thing was Jordan Miller. Jordan Miller is continuing to play like a real contributor on this team, like a real
Yeah.
rotation piece. I think that the Clippers cannot guarantee his contract faster. I think that he deserves to have a guaranteed spot on this team. 16 points for Jordan Miller, 5 for 11 from the field. He was great, and he's also another one that gets to the line with regularity. 8 free throw attempts in this one, 4 steals. He was he was fantastic. Those are the biggest things that I liked in this one, Rolo. What are the things that you liked in this one?
I
Just
would
looking at the box
say
score.
one thing that I would really like, or that I really liked, was that we put away a team that we're supposed to beat. A lot of times, this Clippers team, and obviously like earlier in the season, we would meet a team that we are, supposed to be better than, that we're supposed to be, and we lost. I just like to, even though it's not a blowout or whatever, it's kind of like, just win the game. That's all we ask for, and that's exactly what they gave us. And then, another thing that I really liked about this game in particular was Chris Dunn playing 39 minutes. I think that he is going to have to be our defensive identity. I know obviously Kawhi is a defensive juggernaut, but you kind of need a defensive leader. And I think with Chris Dunn on the floor for that many minutes, it kind of locks everyone in, knowing that he's playing that much and playing with that much effort. I think is pretty cool.
Yeah,
do you want to go into?
I completely agree. Kawhi, also, just to touch on it, Kawhi didn't play in this one. I can't remember if he was. I think it was like the knee rehabilitation or something like that. Yeah. But that was another reason why James Harden was able to do what he did. As far as the things that we didn't like in this one, the Clippers had a pretty bad start to the third quarter. It was starting to look like maybe the Clippers were going to let the Wizards back in. And like I said, the Wizards are a team that if you give them the confidence, they have the pieces to really give you trouble. And so the start to the third quarter wasn't great. And then another thing in this one was I did not like the way that Zoo was playing for a large portion of this game. He just looked a little bit passive, looked a little bit lost. We've seen it from Zoo at times where he just kind of looks like he's lost out there.
Lackadaisical.
The box score is not really going to tell the whole story. I mean, he had 14 points with 12 rebounds, but he did have the 5 turnovers, led the team in turnovers that should never happen from our center that doesn't really make plays. He had a 1-to-5 assist to turnover ratio in this one, so not very good from Zoo. That was the thing that I disliked. Rolo, what did you dislike in this one?
I think the thing that I disliked about this game was the fact that oh, sorry, I was looking at something else. One thing.
So you didn't dislike anything, then? Is what you're saying?
I don't think I disliked anything about this game.
Okay.
Like I said, we're not going to be on our A game every single game. I just think that it's important to win the games that we're supposed to win, no matter how we do it. And I think that's what we did. Like you mentioned, we had a slow start, this, that, and the third. Kawhi wasn't there, but at the end of the day, we should be winning this game, whether it's by 4 points or by 2 points or whatever. These are winnable games, and I think that's exactly what we did, which is why, I think that's such a huge part of our win streak is that, we're just beating the teams that we're supposed to beat.
Yeah, completely. That's been the biggest. I think that's been the biggest thing is Clippers handling business in the third and fourth quarters, which they weren't doing earlier on the season, and then just really stepping up when you have a team in front of you that can be beat. And so, unfortunately, the Clippers weren't able to get that done against the Bulls. The Bulls have been, I don't want to say that they've been good because they haven't, but the Bulls have shown that the reason why they're kind of in this purgatory, they have a team that on paper should be really, really competitive in the East.
Yeah.
But they're kind of on the brink of tearing everything up. And so on any night they can show, this accumulation of talent that can be really potent, especially offensively. And in this one, they were really, really good offensively. And I think I'm just going to use that as a segue to talk about what I didn't like in this one. The Bulls were lighting us up from 3. And granted, some of them were really, really tough shots, and it was maybe an outlier game for the Bulls. But the Bulls were really, really hitting their threes at a high clip in this one. And too many of them were pretty open, I will say. Um, they were looking like they were gonna, and they did, end up running away with the game. But like the writing was kind of on the wall in this one early on. And a big part of that was the way that the Bulls were shooting from three. The Clippers kind of fought back in the in the third quarter. A lot of that was led by John Collins. That was the one thing that I did like was John Collins. James Harden did have 24, but he was 9 for 25 from the field. John Collins was exceptional in this one, and he's been really, really good lately. He's kind of showing why the Clippers made that trade for him. Got rid of Norm and were able to acquire John Collins, a guy that a lot of Clippers fans were really clamoring for years. But 23 points from John Collins, 9 for 12 from the field, 5 for 6 from three. He's really shooting the lights out. Didn't have a ton of other stats, only had a 1 assist. But John Collins has looked the part lately, and it's so much so that I think if the Clippers do retain a couple of people once they do move forward into the next era of this team, John Collins is one guy that I actually wouldn't mind seeing the Clippers extend. Obviously, I would like it to be a team-friendly deal, much like what we signed Zoo to. But John Collins is looking like, okay, like this is a guy that you can help usher in the next era with. I mean, I believe he's 28. He's still young, youngish. And he was the bright spot in this one. But yeah, 138 to 110 loss at the hand of the Bulls on the second out of a back-to-back. So I'm willing to give it a little bit more grace. Right. But yes, a tough loss to a team that the Clippers probably could have beaten, regardless of the second night of the back-to-back. Rolly, what was the thing that you liked and didn't like in this?
Yeah, I think the thing that I really liked about this game was the fact, and this was in the last game also, but Kobe Sanders being inserted into the starting lineup. I think he's done one hell of a job this season as a rookie, and I feel like he's really put himself on the map this year. Well, I guess this is the only year, but I think he's really put himself on the map. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about him. A lot of people talk about the confidence he has. He's not afraid of the moment. And I think it really says a lot that he is the guy that's inserted into the starting lineup over the other rookies or the other young players that are on our team. And that's because he does the intangibles. I know, Nick, you've mentioned that he reminds you of Terance Mann. Yeah. And like it to me, it kind of feels like he has almost like been watching Terance Mann tape. Like, okay, what is this team missing? Let me fill that spot, that role. And, I feel like he's done a phenomenal job. And then, one thing I don't like about this game was obviously the Bulls box score. Excuse me. A team like the Bulls can't be scoring that much. I mean, they have really good, guards. Yeah, they have really good guards. They have really good players. Like, I'm not gonna, talk shit on this team, but
sure,
we could have played a little bit better defense.
Yeah, letting the Bulls score 140 damn near.
Yeah,
is tough.
Crazy. Yeah,
and I don't know the amount of threes that they had. I think it was I want to say that it tied a record for the Bulls in terms of threes. I think it was like 25, 26 threes or something like that. Like that was where they were making their money. And again, you can chalk that up to a second out of a back-to-back, but when you have the start to the season that the Clippers had, the 6-21 start, you really don't have a ton of margin of error. And, you got to look at these games like, okay, if it's winnable, then we need to win. Until we can get past, if we can, once we're looking 500 in the rear view, then I think that you can kind of excuse that a little bit. But until you get to that point, I think the Clippers need to be exceptional, and they've been pretty close to that. But again, games like this are ones that you need to win. But the Clippers were able to bounce back in a big way against the Lakers. This was a game that I was at. And actually, you know what? That's going to be the thing that I'm going to say that I liked was the energy was great in the building. This had been the first time that I've seen the Lakers and the Clippers play at Intuit Dome in person. And normally in the past, going to games at Crypto, there's just a sense of like, okay, like the Clippers, like this is a Clippers home game, but like Clippers fans have to be quiet because we're outnumbered, or like,
Right.
obviously we're gonna cheer for our team, but like this being at this game, I'm so proud of like the Clipper fans that were there because the Lakers fans started to get loud, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the Lakers fans started to get loud. The Clippers were putting the Lakers away. They were up by like plus 20, and the Lakers, as I kind of assumed that they would, they started going on a run, and the Lakers started coming back in a big way, and the Lakers fans started to get really, really loud, and talking their shit as they should. The Lakers were playing well
Yeah.
during that stretch, but Clippers fans really kind of squashed it, for the most part. And like, even after the game, like there were some Lakers chants, in the concourse area, and Clipper fans squashed that, and myself included. Like it really felt it was a different. It was just different than anything that I have experienced in the past with Clipper Laker matchups. In terms of just like protecting the home court advantage, and that was the biggest thing that I really really liked in this one was just like the energy that Clipper fans brought to the stadium and just being a part of that. That was a ton of fun. Another thing that I liked was Kawhi Leonard did come back in this one, and in 26 minutes, only play or only played 26 minutes, but scored 24 points. Kawhi looked dominant in this one. Kawhi did a really good job. Every time that LeBron was matched up on him, he kind of like took the assignment and scored on him, shot over him, was hitting his mid-range shots, was 9 for 19 from the field. The thing that I didn't like in this one was the comeback from the Lakers. I mean, the Clippers really should have blown them out. And actually, Ty Lue talked about it post game. I forget who reported it, but someone said that Ty Lue looked frustrated going to the locker room after the game, and someone asked him, what's going on, what's wrong, and he was saying, I wanted to blow him out, which is cool to see from Ty Lue.
Yeah.
Obviously, that competitive spirit that he has, playing against a guy that he coached in LeBron. Obviously, he takes those games personally. And but yeah, so the Lakers did go on a pretty sizable run. They ratcheted up the defense and really got the Clippers, looking stagnant for a little while. The final box score was 112-104. I would have liked to see, bigger margin of win, but I can't really nitpick too much with the way that the Clippers were able to, grind out this win late. I believe it was John Collins hit a dagger three in the corner, which was kind of like a viral moment. Like that was cool. And it was a really big moment in the game, and it was just a fun time all around.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous that you got to go to that game. I don't think I've been to a Lakers Clippers matchup since I was like in middle school, dude. Like
Yeah, it was cool.
they're always highly competitive. I've mentioned this even earlier in the season. Like one thing about the Clippers is that we always have to come with that energy, especially the team, because the Lakers fans are always going to be present at any Lakers Clippers matchup.
Sure.
So the Clippers team themselves have to build that energy to match that, because unfortunately, like Clipper fans are outnumbered in LA.
Yeah, it's always going to be a Laker town. Like
Yeah, so like in the first matchup of the season, I was pretty frustrated because the Clippers didn't come with that energy that I wanted them to come with. Like they're playing against the crosstown rivals. But I think in this game we witnessed the Clippers actually want it and actually play to their ability and beat a team that's 26-17 as the Lakers. And the Lakers are motivated also, so it's the Clippers got to be even more motivated. I mentioned like, okay, how do you rile up a team, or how do you rile up the Clipper fans, is by being a little bit more physical. Kawhi matching up with LeBron, not running from the matchup. So one thing I really really liked about this game was you took mine, Kawhi coming back. I think that a lot of the time, we see this with like Embiid or, like other superstars where, they are injured, or they're sitting out, or they're out for some reason. And they choose like, oh, they could rest one more game, or they could rest two more games, or they could come back this game. And, a lot of the times I don't want to say it's an excuse, but they say that, that medical staff doesn't allow them to come back at a certain time. And, my rebuttal to that is always, it's your body. Like these players, if they tell medical staff, hey, I am feeling this, this, and this, like I can play tonight, I don't think that the medical staff can tell you what you're feeling at the end of the day. And, for Kawhi to come back, he could have very easily sat out one more game or two more games. For him to come back against this Laker team, like a big game, I think really says a lot about what he wants to do this season. So that was probably my favorite thing to see about this game. And then probably one thing I didn't like was Luka pretty much dropping a 30-point triple double on our heads. 32.
He was instrumental in their comeback. Yeah.
I mean, we've been playing Luka for as long as I can remember, dude. Like, I know he's unstoppable, but it's pretty irritating to see him continuously put up massive numbers against us, man.
Yeah, but it's empty. Luka loses to the Clippers all the time. So,
but it just sucks.
I'll die on that.
I just
hill.
don't like seeing it, bro. I just don't
sure.
like seeing it.
I'm just not a fan of Luka. I think I do not like him. He's probably my least favorite player of all time, actually, to be perfectly honest with you.
Whoa.
But yeah, I'm not gonna hate too much. I'm just gonna drop that little nugget and walk away. But yeah, so the Clippers took that great win against the Lakers and kept the ball rolling against the Nets in, like I said, what will always be known in Clipper lore as the Paperbowl. This was I actually don't think I have anything that I dislike about this game. The box score was amazing, 126-89. Obviously, the Brooklyn Nets are kind of a rebuilding team, so you expect that. But again, the Clippers were able to handle business. Kept all the starting five below 12 or below 13. Yegor Demin, their rookie, who's having a great rookie season, was their leading scorer in the starting lineup with 12. Clippers held Michael Porter in check with 9. Just everything about this game. Obviously, like I said, I can't talk enough about like the vibes during this game. Mm-hmm. Fans in the wall were holding up signs of the tweet from Robert Flom. Like it was the talk of the broadcast. Like Brian Seaman talked about it multiple times. They talked about it after the game. Kobe Sanders talked about it in a video after the game. It was like a really fun moment. Like I said, I liken it to when the Batum Battalion became a thing years ago, when I think it was Clipper Spencer on Twitter started coined the term the Batum Battalion. That was really cool. And like there's just like these little moments throughout like the last couple of years where it just shows that like the Clipper fans and Clipper fans have a voice, and people pick up on these things, and like they become like a really cool, they manifest into these really cool moments that like Clipper fans just kind of don't forget. Like the Reggie chants, back in the day, like when, when Reggie would go off, like things like that. And so this was just another example of that. I guess, there is one thing that I disliked in this one, and that was seeing Terance Mann in another uniform come into it Dome. The Clippers did a tribute video to him. I miss Terance Mann a lot. Rolla, I know you feel the same way. That was probably the one thing that I disliked, was just seeing Terance Mann in an opposing jersey at Intuit Dome, a building that I would have really liked to see him continue to play in, as a Clipper. But, it is what it is, as they say.
Right. I think what I really liked about this game was Jordan Miller, 16 points off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, he's been awesome.
On the field.
Yeah.
He's been unbelievable. He's even gone viral. I don't know if you saw, but I think he did like some sort of Euro step that people were like, what the fuck? Like, how did this guy do that? And people were like,
it was on Keyshawn George against the Wizards.
Yeah. And people were like analyzing how the hell he did that. So it's cool to it's cool to see these like young players put themselves on the map for their play. Like no talking, no like bullshit. Like we're just good players, and people are like, wow, picking up on that these are just special players, and I think that's really really cool. One thing yeah, I would have to say the Terance Mann thing. One thing I
Yeah, it
didn't like.
sucks.
It's always gonna suck probably for the rest of his career, just because he's probably one of my all-time favorite Clippers,
Yeah.
just because of the era he played in and the amount of effort he played with every single game, the amount of energy he brought. We kind of have been rooting for him since he was like a rookie day one, and to like see a rookie like that flourish under the Clippers was really really cool to see. But it's just sad to see him wear another jersey, especially in the Clippers building.
Maybe he'll be back. Maybe Terance Mann will be back. Let's get the
Maybe.
petition started. Let's bring Terance Mann back, especially with how no shade to Bogey. I've really liked a lot of what Bogey's brought, in his limited time over the course of like his Clipper career, but like, especially seeing how Bogey's kind of going out,
Yeah.
like that's the guy that we traded Terrence for. So it's just, it is a little bit of a sour taste, but again, it is what it is, and maybe we'll see Terance Mann in a Clipper jersey at some point down the road. But the last game that I wanted to touch on was the game against the Utah Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
The Clippers were able to try and like stack up their revenge tour against the Jazz after what the Jazz did to the Clippers opening night.
One.
Yeah, literally game one. And the Clippers did a good job in this one. They ended up taking the win. Hold on, I have the score right here. They ended up taking the win 115 to 103. And this was in Utah too, so it's a tough building to play in. Obviously, with what the Jazz did to the Clippers early on in the season, I'm always kind of skeptical about this matchup, but the Clippers handled business. The one thing that I liked in this one was, it's kind of split. I think James Harden and Kawhi Leonard both did what they needed to do in this game. Only 16 from James Harden, but had 10 assists. Was able to kind of grit through poor shooting, 5 for 14 from the field to contribute to the win, and added in 4 steals, which was really really cool to see. Kawhi Leonard with 21, 9 for 18 from the field, so pretty efficient. 3 for 17 from three. Those two kind of led the way. But actually, you know what? The thing that I liked the most was Chris Dunn in this one. 14 points. Was shooting really well, specifically from three. Only took 4 threes, but hit 2 of them. Added 5 steals, which is, we kind of expect to see that from Chris Dunn. But the 14 points was really outstanding for me in this one. And he was confident, was looking to score. And the Clippers needed it. The Clippers didn't necessarily blow the Jazz out 115 to 103. So when you get 14 points from a guy like Chris Dunn, like that really helps. So I think out of all the things, he's probably the brightest spot for me in this one. As far as what I didn't like, the Clippers were kind of playing with their food a bit in the first quarter. It looked like it might have been heading towards a loss, or at least a really tough win. In that first quarter, the defense didn't look very sound. But again, the Clippers were able to right the ship, in that second half, and were able to come away with that win.
Yeah, I think that for me, what I really liked about this game was, I think it was just Kawhi being Kawhi. He was the highest scorer on our team, and then a secondary thing. I really liked Brook Lopez, 14 points from him.
Yeah, Brook was
3
actually
assists
great
from
in this
3.
one.
I feel like there's been a lot of chatter and a lot of down talk on Brook Lopez. Obviously,
Because he's been bad for most of the season.
But, yeah, but he's had that he had that coming out party where he hit what was that, like 9?
It was 9 threes against Portland, I think.
Yeah, he hit 9 threes, and pretty much ever since then he hasn't really been playing that well. But I think if he is contributing, 3 out of 6 threes, 4 of 7 from the field to 14 points, 5 boards. I think that's exactly something we need from a backup center, especially one that we are expecting to stretch the floor and could potentially be in the starting lineup after trade deadline. We shall see.
Ooh, okay. All right.
But I'd say one thing I didn't like about this game was, like you said, that we didn't really blow the Jazz out. Although, this Jazz team isn't like a terrible team. They are 15-32. They have 15 wins on the season. They have beaten good teams. They beat us day one. So
Blew us out.
exactly.
Out.
So they're not a terrible team, but I would like to see a motivated Clippers to blow, like to always blow. Like it should be personal. Like
Yeah.
we should be always blowing this team out. Like our horrible run to the season started with the Utah Jazz. Like
It kind of set the tone.
They set the tone straight up from day one. So we should be taking these games very personally. But like I said at the beginning of the episode, as long as we get the win, it doesn't really matter how it's done. We're supposed to be winning these games, and that's exactly what we did.
Yeah. No, it's just a great way to kind of cap off this stretch of games, and the Clippers, like I said, continue to keep it rolling. The Clippers are now, as it stands, 2 games back from 500, which is, to be honest, not a place that I thought that the Clippers would get anytime soon. I mean, 6-21. You really have to dig yourself out of a pretty deep hole to be able to get to 500 after that start, and the Clippers are on their way to doing that. So, I don't know. We might have to do like a giveaway or something when they reach 500, because our last idea was when the Clippers were playing horrible basketball. Not only did the Clippers have to win, but they had to keep their opponent below 100. And I don't think we gave shit away. So we had to change. We had to move the goalposts a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll do something when the Clippers reach 500, because that is a benchmark that I really didn't think the Clippers would
Me neither.
reach this season, to be honest, with the way that it was starting. So here's to more wins. Here's to getting to 500 and lowering the chances of the Oklahoma City Thunder getting a high draft pick. It's been great. And, during a time when there's a lot of, I mean, this is kind of a side note, but when there's a lot of just shitty things going on in the world or in this country, it's nice to be able to have this little reprieve. I mean, like it's obviously a very small drop of water in a big pond, but the Clippers playing well has been a nice little bright spot for me as a fan of this team. So
I agree, but it hasn't been a bright spot.
Yes,
Lawrence Frank.
Yes,
got signed a new contract.
Let's talk about that. My whole day's ruined now, Rolla. Thank you.
But tell me what you think about, first, before I mention the contract. Tell me what you think about Lawrence Frank. Being extended with the Clippers in that decision making spot, and what you think that his next move is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the figures look like. I don't think it really matters because it's coming out of Ballmer's payroll, and I could care less about how much Ballmer spends. But I just think it's like a little bit of and we'll see what comes of the next couple years with Lawrence Frank continuing to run the show. But I think like it just shows the recency bias a little bit. And obviously, as fans, it's really great to see the Clippers, like we said, it's really great to see the Clippers playing well, and it's nice to be able to feel positively about this team. But this team also got off to a 6-21 start. And granted, like, you can't put all of that, or even, depending on who you ask, 50% of that on Lawrence Frank. But, at the end of the day, like, the situation with Chris Paul didn't help the vibes. And, like, yes, he sent Chris Paul away and the Clippers started playing better. I don't think the two things are I don't think they correlate really. I think that really it boils down to the game against the Lakers where the Clippers won and realized that they're a good basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just think that with his history of like suspect draft picks and like trading away draft capital for you know, aging stars and stuff like that, I don't feel particularly confident specifically in rebuilding this team when that time comes, which is,
Right.
probably going to be around the corner. Like, I just don't know if I trust Lawrence Frank at the helm to be able to do something different than what he's done before, which up to this point hasn't really gotten us anything, and
Um, Sorry, really,
I don't
really
love
quick.
it. I don't love it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But can I read this little excerpt from an article really quick
Sure.
on the extension of Lawrence Frank? And I want to hear your opinion on
This
this.
is
You know,
gonna
you did
this is gonna piss
mention,
me off.
yeah, you did mention that you didn't trust him with the rebuild. But
Yeah.
you know, I've mentioned in the past, like, you know, I personally am all for a complete rebuild of the Clippers front office, team, coaching staff, everyone. And that's why I think Lawrence Frank should go, in my opinion. But I do think that he has done some good things. But I just want to read this real quick. The LA Clippers agreed to a multi-year contract extension with President of Basketball Operations Lawrence Frank, reportedly 4 years after he steadied the franchise since 2017. The team, fifth in NBA regular season wins under him, boasts six playoff trips, including a 2021 conference finals run, and recently went 15-3 in 18 games to reach 21-24 and number 10 in the West. Powered by Leonard James Harden, 25.1 points enabled John Collins. The timing draws mixed fan reactions amid a salary cap probe the team denies, but peers once named Frank Executive of the Year. So Lawrence Frank is one, respected by his peers. Two, has built multiple Clippers teams that have gone one to the conference finals, has gone to the playoffs multiple years. You know, I have said that Lawrence Frank isn't responsible for injuries. He has no control over that. His job
Sure.
is to put together a championship level team, which I believe he has done multiple times. I think when you look at, you know, Paul George team, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, when you have those players all on one team at the same time, there's not much more you could want as a GM. And, you know, it's up to the players to, you know, play the game. And, you know, I don't think he's a bad executive at all. I just think that, you know, with where the Clippers, the culture in the Clippers is the wrong culture to have currently. And I think for that to change, I think we should have gotten rid of him. But, you know, obviously that hasn't happened. I'm not sure what Ballmer is looking at or doing. I mean,
Well, that's where the recency bias to me is, I think.
right. And I think that, you know, how recent are we trying to look at? Because if we're looking at recency bias, this is we're 21-24. Like we're not
No, I
doing
know.
what we're supposed to. Like the recency bias is literally 2 weeks, like two,
Yeah.
3 weeks of games.
Yeah, and that's why I think it to me it was a rash decision. Sorry to cut you off, but I think that like to
Oh,
me that's part of the reason why I feel that this was a rash decision. And to be
mhm.
honest, if the Clippers window for this iteration of the team was another 3 or 4 years, I could say, okay, you know what? Lawrence Frank built this team. Let's let him write it out with this team.
Right.
But the fear that I have is like we're going to be ushering in a new era of Clipper basketball soon. I don't know if I trust him to think outside the box and try something different, right? Like, I, and another thing is, yes, to touch on what you said, Rolla, I don't necessarily think he's a bad executive. He's had really, really
Hmm.
good moments and made some great moves. He's really good at my dad always says this, but like he's really good at finding negotiating team friendly deals. Like Exhibit A, Ivica Zubac's contract. Like,
Hmm.
he's good at that. But I think he's put himself in a position he's put himself in a really slippery like on a really slippery slope. He's soured his relationship with a lot of ex-players that have clout in this league. Chris Paul,
Right.
Blake Griffin,
Lou Will.
Lou Williams has talked about how he loves he's team Clippers and he's got a good relationship with Steve Ballmer, but he feels like this whole thing with Chris Paul was a beef between Lawrence Frank and Chris Paul. It's like when you have a president of basketball ops that is burning bridges with individuals
Hmm.
throughout the league, like I think that that means something, and like maybe it doesn't, but I just have a worry that it does,
Right.
and I just think it kind of puts a sour taste in the mouths of a lot of free agents, maybe that might be looking at the Clippers. At the end of the day, players want to get money and they want to get paid, and Ballmer is the owner to pay you. But at the end of the day, I would be remiss to believe that um, certain players maybe are thinking in the back of their minds of the way that Lawrence Frank has treated players in the past. I don't know.
Right.
I think there's just
And
like a big question mark with it, and I don't love it.
right. And I kind of have a little bit of this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but they didn't disclose how much he was getting paid. And I'm wondering, like, why is it okay for us to know exactly how much the players are getting paid? But when it comes to the upper management, we have no idea. Like,
Yeah.
how
Well,
does
I
that
think
work?
there
How does
is a
that
way
make
to
sense?
check, but it's not as like readily. I think
Yeah,
that
I
the
just don't
logic with
think
that
it's
is like
fair.
we care about how much players get paid because uh it has
An impact on
an impact on the
money.
salary cap. Yeah, it
Yeah.
has an impact on like what other moves can be made with the front office. You can throw an unlimited figure
Yeah.
at somebody, like
I
so it's
just
not as
feel like
interesting.
when when you talk about the coaches, you talk about the players, you know exactly how much everyone is getting paid. But when it comes to the guy making all the decisions, then like that's who they want to kind of keep a hush hush about, like how much he's getting paid. I mean, we he could be getting paid more than the players. We have
Yeah,
no idea, you know. So I think that's a little bit unfair to not only to, I guess, the fans, but to the players themselves, because you know, they talk about player empowerment, and obviously these players now are getting crazy contracts, but you never know. These upper executives could be making just as much of the players, doing a fraction of what the players are doing.
yeah,
Um,
it's an
so
interesting
that was
point.
just my only tangent. I mean, um, Lawrence Frank, man, I don't really know what Bomber's doing. I mean, at this point, I texted you earlier, Nick. Like, at this point, I think that unless Bomber gets like a wake up call, like a wake up call even more harsh than what we did to Chris Paul,
Mhm.
like I think he's basically just gonna keep doing what he was doing. I mean, keep Lawrence Frank, keep Ty Lue, and just keep things the way they are,
Yeah,
because I think ultimately his bottom line is the money, and I think keeping things the way they are is what is making him the most money. So it is what it is. Then there's really nothing me and you can do. It's to me like, and again, like another tangent. I keep saying this. Like, I think that the way we are like reacting to the Clippers winning, and reacting to the Clippers today, just feels like we've already forgotten what they've done to us. Um, I think that we're gonna get that wake up call again in the playoffs, because I personally don't think that this is a finals
a
level team,
championship team. Yeah,
championship level team. And I think at some point this, and I could be wrong. We've lost 3 games out of the last 18, so I could be
yeah,
wrong. But like, if I were a betting man, I'd bet that we're not winning the championship this
sure.
year.
Yeah,
And
I think that's a fair take.
you know, I
Absolutely.
think I think we're going to go into the summer like wondering, what do we do?
What's
What's
next?
the
Yeah.
next step? if we don't even like, and I don't like, Nick, you're the one with the sources. Like, I don't know if there's a plan to do anything even in this trade deadline. Like, are we gonna go through this trade deadline doing nothing? Like,
Well,
this
I've
is
heard
I
I've
guess
heard that the
kind of
Clippers
to
are
kind of to segue into the next topic of the trade
yeah.
deadline. But like, what's the
I
plan?
I've heard that the Clippers, and obviously, like during this time of the year, there's so much hearsay, but what I've heard is that the Clippers are going to pivot into being buyers as opposed to being sellers at the deadline. Earlier on in the season, I wouldn't have been surprised if the Clippers were planning on selling everything to try and accumulate draft capital or accumulate assets for the future. Now it's looking like the Clippers maybe are going to be buyers at the deadline. What that means, we don't know. I think that if I was to choose, and I knew that the Clippers were going to be buying at the deadline, I would say, yeah, okay, sell off within reason, sell off certain players. Zoo has an enticing contract, and obviously he's a top 3, top 5 center when he's playing at his best. I don't want to see Zoo go, but that is a tradable piece. But and if you want to buy, I would say if you want to bring in somebody that can help, just make sure that it's somebody that's young and somebody that you can use to help you segue into the new era. There's guys that I've really wanted the Clippers to get for years have been guys like Tari Eason. I really like Trey Murphy from the Pelicans. Versatile forwards, bigger combo forwards, guys like that. I really like. And then if you can attach some draft capital to that. But what I don't want to happen, what I'm afraid is going to happen, is the Clippers being buyers means that the Clippers are going to go and try and get somebody like Chris Middleton or somebody like CJ McCollum or somebody like DeMar DeRozan or Malik Monk or somebody that's like, at their prime or past their prime, and somebody that does the same things that everybody that we've brought into the Clippers up to this point, has done. And that's not what I want. I don't want to bring in another aging star, So we'll see. We'll see what happens at the deadline. But from what I've heard, is that the Clippers are going to be buying at the deadline to try and add a piece that can help them.
Obviously, like, we're not buying for a second round exit. Who could we buy that would put us over the top? I mean, today Giannis. Well, I don't want to say Giannis revealed, but the NBA or Shams revealed that Giannis is demanding a trade, and his number one destination is the Miami Heat. So when you look at someone like Giannis, obviously someone he is someone that could come in and make an immediate impact to the Clippers and could make us a championship level team. But as of right now, it doesn't seem like the Clippers are on his mind. So, in your opinion, who's someone that we could go after?
I like Giannis a lot. I wouldn't want the Clippers. Like, he's kind of, it's the same thing, as the guys that I mentioned before. Like, that's not the type of person that I want the Clippers to go out and get. It's someone that's like kind of already proven themselves elsewhere, and they're like on the decline, or they have a bunch of like injuries adding up. Like, obviously, I don't think Giannis is necessarily on the decline, but I think that being 31 years old, like, he's right in the middle of his prime. Like, I want to bring in somebody that can build a name for themselves here with the Clippers.
Right.
And like the names that I mentioned, like, obviously they're not star level players, but guys like Tari Eason, guys like Trey Murphy. I'm trying to think of another like someone cut from that same cloth, but those are the guys that I want to bring in. Maybe someone like Naz Reid.
So you're saying we should trade for the future rather than trade for like a win potential?
I think you can do both. I think you can do both, because at the end of the day, if we're going to continue to employ Kawhi Leonard and James Harden, those are going to have to be our number 1 and 2, right?
I don't think we can do both. I'm going to be honest.
I think you can bring in a piece that can help you contribute. Like,
I don't think there's a young guy that can change currently, that can change this Clippers team and bump us up to a championship level team. I mean, right?
Give me Andrew Nembhard.
he's not the guy, bro. Unless we get
I just like
Shea,
Andrew
bro.
Nemhard, dude.
Unless we
Yeah,
get Shea, bro. There's no one that's
I don't
gonna
want
put us
freaking
over the
Shea.
top. And when I say over the top, I mean OKC, dude.
Yeah.
And like let's be honest.
They are the top.
They're the peak. Yep. They're the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So like I'm saying that there's no one we can add at this point other than Giannis or other than I don't even know that can bump us up to that level. And so it's like I'm wondering what is Lawrence Frank's plan, dude? Like,
well, we're about to find out in about a week.
I don't know, dude. Like I just feel like we're stuck in a limbo, dude. Like we're just like not doing anything. I just feel like we're at a place where it's like, okay, do we rebuild or do we go for the chip? Like if we go for the chip, we have to get rid of all of our young pieces. Like we have to sacrifice pretty much everything for one guy that could win us one chip, maybe.
Yeah. And the narrative wouldn't be there either. You bring in a guy like, let's say we bring in a guy like Giannis and we win the championship this year. It's like, it doesn't feel earned. You know what I mean? No. Like, and I know that like it, when you're talking about a championship and you're the Clippers, you shouldn't nitpick anything if you win a championship. Yes. But at the end of the day, like I want it to be, I want this, like I'm excited for the future of the Clippers. Mm-hmm. Like I want this to be done the right way. And I just think that there's ways that you can do that, but a way to go against that grain would be to bring in somebody that's kind of, I mean, Giannis won a championship elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like not too long ago. And like, he's already 31 and he's having these injuries pile up and stuff like that. It's like, it just wouldn't feel, to me, it wouldn't feel right. But again, we'll see. I think it's still a little bit like the real trade deadline rumors don't start picking up until about a day or two before, I find. Mm-hmm. But so it's a little early, but yeah, I've just heard that they're gonna try and buy. But again, you know, in the past we've speculated all kinds of things, and the one thing that Lawrence Frank does is he does keep his moves and his transactions pretty, you know, under wraps. And a lot of the times the Clippers end up making a move that we had no idea was even on the back burner. So we'll see. We can speculate all we want, but the fact of the matter is Lawrence Frank is going to be the GM for several years to come. So he is going to be the one making that final say. Obviously, I want him to make the right move. I don't agree with most of the stuff that he has done lately. But at the end of the day, I want him to make a decision that's best for the franchise that I support. So whatever decision is made by Lawrence Frank, I hope it's the right one. That's pretty much all I can say about that.
I agree, dude. I have nothing else to say about Lawrence Frank, dude. Just, you know, just hopefully in 5 years we can say, or how long is this? His contract's for 4 years. We can say we're happy that he was extended.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, 4 years is a long time. He's got plenty of time. Better get to work now, Lawrence. But yeah, I mean, we'll probably come at you guys like middle of next week. So we're going to try and do a pod right before the deadline. But if not, we'll do one recapping everything from the deadline. Rolla, do you have anything else you wanted to talk about the deadline before we get on out of here?
Nope. That's it for me.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Fun times lately for the Clippers. Hopefully they can keep it going, and possibly some interesting times ahead with the deadline looming and the Clippers kind of being, like Rolla said, in this limbo. There's a lot of directions that they can go. So we're going to talk about that all as the news comes in. But for this episode, thank you guys so much for tuning in and supporting. Let us know what you guys think about the way that the Clippers are playing, and also what you would like to see from the Clippers pre-deadline and maybe post-deadline. As Rolla said up top, you can find us on YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Deezer. Give us a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at Clip Service Pod. It ain't no lip service. This has been Clip Service. Rolla, tell the people what they want to hear.
Let's go Clips.
Let's go Clips. Have a good one, guys.